how do we improve carbon neutral data center lead generation? So how do we improve the lead generation for carbon neutral data centers? Well, we need to figure out what business we're actually in. And in order to do that, one of the most important prerequisites is to figure out, does your company have product market fit? Do you know exactly who the ideal clients are, what products and services they purchase from you in the context of carbon neutral data centers? And do we know the price points and the frequencies at which they purchase? Along the same lines, we probably also should have a significant amount of clarity on our unit economics, what an average client spends with us, the duration of the agreements, what our cost of acquisition is, what our average sales cycle length is. If you're able to answer most of those questions, your company likely has product market fit, PMF, and you likely also have go to market fit. Big difference between go to market fit and product market fit is as you add more capital into your playbook, you have a high degree of confidence that things will continue to scale successfully. You'll continue to add the right kinds of clients. They'll be really happy. Your account managers will be delighted to be working with them. They'll be delighted to be working with your account managers. And you can continue to have positive word of mouth that continues to help you grow ever faster in your quest to grow your carbon neutral data center business. So as long as you have product market fit and you have go to market fit, there's likely a lot in common with the companies that are sitting on your case studies page. And from there, you have your ideal client profile. So you know at a company level where they're located, you know their size, you know their industries, you know their business model. And then we get into the really good. And from there, of course, you can build a target account list. So you know the couple hundred, the couple thousand companies, whatever it is, the defined list of companies that you want to be specifically generating leads from. Then we get into the really good stuff. We get into figuring out in these companies who is the kind of buyer that we need to be building relationships with. In the case of carbon neutral, maybe it's a chief sustainability officer. In a smaller company that doesn't have the focus on sustainability, maybe it's just a regular CTO or an IT director. Maybe it's a network operations person in a much larger company. In certain companies, maybe it's a CFO. Ultimately, based on the nature of your products and services that you provide within the marketplace for carbon neutral data centers, you'll figure out who the most important buyer persona is and who the second most important buyer persona is. But rest assured, in nearly all cases, it's decision by committee. So there's multiple stakeholders that are involved. So we're really just figuring out among the people that show up on the decision committee, how different are they in terms of their most important goals that they're trying to figure out professionally and their biggest challenges that they're struggling with professionally. Because it doesn't, the level of seniority isn't usually the biggest predictor of differences in behaviors. It usually depends on, again, this amalgamation of what they're trying to do professionally, what's on their job description, what they get evaluated on, what gets them the bonus. What if they screw up gets them the opposite of the bonus, and what's stressing them out the most, their biggest struggles, their biggest professional challenges. That's how you're able to cluster those kinds of buyers together into persona. And once you do that, you should have a lot of clarity on what they're trying to figure out with carbon neutral data centers. You should have a lot of clarity on what they're struggling with the most when it comes to carbon neutral data centers. And the consensus on those goals and challenges will help you create a content calendar, will help you create an event calendar so that you and your team are able to show up consistently as early as possible, early and often, to be able to educate and build trust at scale with the most important kind of people in those specific target accounts and those specific companies that care the most about your company's carbon neutral data center services. So when it comes to improving your carbon neutral data center lead generation, be really clear about what kind of company they're from and what kind of stakeholders that you need to be generating these leads with. And then the second part of it is be very self-aware that most of the buyer personas that are interested in data center related products and services are doing a ton of research, self-directed research on their own before they're ready for a sales conversation. So we need to show up as the teachers, the consultants, and the subject matter experts and not just be knocking on their door all the time, begging for sales meetings to come in and pitch and demo. All the selfish asks that are likely dominating a lot of what you're doing right now when it comes to lead generation. I'd also caution you to think about being really clear on how you define a lead, because in the data center industry over at DCSMI, we see a lot of people use the term lead and sales opportunity interchangeably. And they're really quite different things. When it comes to someone that's doing content marketing, that's doing sales enablement, a lead usually is someone that's a known identified contact at a particular company that's showing some degree of interest or potential fit in what you do. The reality, though, is usually you want a much higher level of interest before you're able to determine that this person is showing qualification to pass on to the next level. So there's kind of this whole evolution of how somebody gets from a lead to a sales opportunity. Most of the time when people say that want to improve their lead generation, they don't just want to generate early stage leads. They want to successfully educate and build trust and nurture and accelerate as many of those good fit leads into sales opportunities as possible. So I would make sure to address that so that when it comes to whoever is charged with running your content engine and coordinating your webinar and events program, that you're using the same terminology and the language to align and be on the right page about all of this. So there's not a lot of miscommunication and potential for this getting off the rail. Because the reality is you do need to have leads before you can have opportunities. If they're only showing up as opportunities, more than likely the people that those opportunities represented got educated by someone else, by another company, by another association, by an event, someone else that stacked the decks in their favor about what the purchase criteria should look like. So in a lot of ways, if you only first identify someone when they're at the opportunity stage, you probably got in too late. And in many cases, when you get in too late, the only thing that's going to win is cheaper, the race to the bottom. So most of the people that are watching this, you likely don't want to be the cheaper. You don't want to win because of cheaper. You want to win because you're better. You want to win because of better brand reputation in this space. You want to win on a host of other factors way beyond. You may want to be the low cost option at all. But by default, if you are absent for the first 83% of the buyer's journey, most of the time, the only thing you're going to have left to play is the card, the price card. And that's the race to the bottom, and that kills your margins, and it's demoralizing and not a good place to be. So we need to get you in as early as possible so that your company, your sales, the members of your sales team, your account managers, your marketers are seen as the go-to experts on your space in anything and everything having to do with carbon neutral data centers. And the better job you can do in embracing that your future role of your go-to-market team is to show up early and often as possible in those 28 touch points as the go-to experts on carbon neutral data centers, the better your company's going to do at not only lead generation, but nurturing sales acceleration and growing your company.